Okay, before we get started on this car, there's a few things that we need to do before I actually jack it up and pull the wheels off to get at the axles and various components underneath. What we're going to do first is take off a lot of this cosmetic plastic casing that Audi shrouds their vehicles in. So we'll probably start with this piece, the airbox. Underneath the airbox, we're going to find electronic components and hoses that I intend to label and either take pictures or draw diagrams of so that I can get this stuff back together. I did actually order a Bentley manual that covers this make and model, so I'll be using that as a guide and a reference as to where all the parts go. One of my biggest fears is that I'm going to get this thing completely torn apart and then forget how it goes back together. So the system that I plan to use is basically with every sub-assembly that we pull off and remove, we'll label baggy the bolts, or attach the bolts back to the component, and then either take a photo of it or write up some instructions on exactly what it is that I did. So a couple months down the line, when we're putting this whole thing back together, I don't forget and end up missing something. So we're going to spend a little time working on the top part of the engine, remove some of these components so we can get at the ones underneath, keeping in mind that on this Audi, in fact all the Audi TTs, the engine is here, the transmission is under, and you can't actually see it right now, but it's down below here. That actually needs to come off to get at the timing chains. So that's going to be the bulk of the work, and from everything that I've read on the forums, that's sort of the big trick with this job, is being able to get at and then remove the transmission. Once that comes off, I'm expecting the timing chain job to go fairly quickly. So once we get this sort of dressed up a little bit, we're going to jack the car up, put it on jack stands, remember, safety first, and then pull the wheels, the hubs, the axles, and continue the project from there. So I'm going to go ahead and take a bunch of pictures of this process as we go. I'm not necessarily going to film every piece, but I certainly will if there's a tricky spot or something that others may want to learn from. So with that, please keep in mind and continue to check my blog, v6auditt.tumblr.com. There you're going to find written instructions on everything that I've done, along with pictures and links to these videos. One other thing, I'd like to introduce my very special shop assistant on this job, my 12-year-old son, Finn. Hang on. Say hello.
Hello.
So Finn is going to be helping me on this teardown and rebuild. First car for him. And first car for me in a long time. So we're really looking forward to getting this project going. Here's another pan of the vehicle. As you can see, the engine, we're actually just clearing winter. It's March here in Minnesota. I drove it all the way up until December when I started having issues with it. So aside from the fact that I did run it through a wash earlier in the week, this car is pretty filthy. So one of the things that we're going to be doing as we tear this down and put it back together is shining up, painting, protecting, essentially waxing all these pieces as we go as well. I really want this thing to look nice when we're done. And with that, we're going to sign off. Talk to you all soon.